Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. James here from JVC Paints. This is my first video for 2023. So Happy New Year to everybody. Wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I hope that this year is a great year for everyone, that everything goes well. And I also hope that this is just remembered as 2023 and not that foul year of our Lord 2023 in the future. Before I get stuck into the video proper here and talk about this little army here that I've completed, first up I just wanted to give a shout out to Weird World War II, Brian and Mel in the Lone Star State of Texas. I want to draw on their channel, and they sent me this cool book, Achtung Cthulhu, Dark Tales from the Secret War, or Achtung Cthulhu if you're into the whole brevity thing. It's an anthology of some cool Weird War stories. So thank you very much to Brian and Mel at Weird World War II. I'm going to put a link to their channel below, so you can check out what they're doing. They got gaming projects, interviews, etc., etc. So give them a peek when you can. And I'm also gonna, speaking of looking below, I'm gonna put some timestamps down there. So if you wanna, if you're inclined to skip around the channel, you want to look at something or look at it again, or you can. So make it a little bit more convenient for you. So let's take a look at the army. So here I have a 1,000.12 dice. Completed Sikh 1940-1942 Commonwealth Infantry Brigade platoon from the Western Desert book. That was a mouthful. I don't own the book, so I made this list off of Easy Army. So if there's any mistakes in the list or anything like that, that's on them. If you think it might be a little bit cheesy, that's probably 100% on me, because I do that kind of stuff. Cheesy and beardy, that's the way I roll. So this is a 1,000 point army, but I got it 3 points under, so it's at 997. But there are 2 free units in the army, which would both be 100 points. So it's actually a 1,197 point army disguised in a 997 point army. So I don't know, though, they're hiding those extra 200 points in, kit bags and socks and rucksacks and stuff like that. So I'm going to break up the army, after each section, I'm going to put up some photos. And like I said, underneath there's going to be some timestamps. So if you want to watch another part again or skip through it or whatever, feel free to do that. So let's take a look at the army. Here's the command and the weapon teams for the army. First up, we have the officer, a second lieutenant here, and his Batman. They're regular 65 points. Giving this guy the SMG, gives him tough fighter, of course. And the officer, he also has a pistol, but in a game, I'd probably say SMG. Why not? I give him a tough fighter as well, and it would give him a couple of shots down range. I've made them both English, using the cap and the helmet there, the tin hat. Because I wanted to save the Sikh turban heads for the artillery piece, which you're about to see in about 2 seconds. But first, before we get to the artillery piece, we've got the Boys Anti-Tank Rifle. It's also regular, 30 points, 36-inch range, penetration at 2. It's a team weapon. You lose the one guy. You have to take the immediate test, break test, at -1, because I'm sure they would have a pin by then, maybe more, depending if they get hit by HE or not. Next, then, we have the 6-pounder. This is why I've made the officers English, because I think it was historically accurate, as well as I wanted to make sure that these guys had the proper heads. So this is the Warlord 6-pounder. This is probably the second, third, fourth one I've made. The instructions, of course, are just lovely, as they always are from Warlord, especially their metal stuff. The figures are okay. I've made it so that if you line them up, they are just basically, you can kind of be cheesy enough that a template might only hit like 1 guy or 2 guys maybe. Yeah, it's pretty beardy, but it's 75 points. It's got a penetration of 5, and I believe the range is 60 inches. So it's got the gun shield too. So these guys they'll survive on a 5 up. And finally, we've got the free air observer. Pardon me, the free artillery officer, giving him an SMG as well. Once he calls in his shot, I want to make sure that he has some kind of protection. So I thought, tough fighter, 2 shots, that's not bad. He's checking out a map there. I've used the sandbags. The sandbags, of course, came with the kit. He's got some binoculars. Get my fingers out of the way there so you can take a look at him. But a nice little figure there. So that's the command and the weapon teams. After this, we're going to take a look at the infantry. But first, I'm going to take some snaps of these guys. Here are the infantry sections for the Army. There's 4 of them. First up, we've got a 5-man section here. It's regular. It's got a Bren gun LMG, as you can see, and the loader is on the left of the NCO. The NCO is the guy in the middle. He's big. He is not a Warlord figure. He is a Cobblestones casting figure that I've repurposed for the NCO in this section. In fact, all of the NCOs. So he is from Back of Beyond range, I believe. But yeah, we've got 5 men here. They come in at 70 points. Next to them is a redundant section, exact same equipment, but some different poses. We've got the Bren there. He's prone. The loader is prone, the other guy there. We've got 2 guys, and we've got the NCO. Next to them, we have the biggest section of them all. It's 10 men. Again, the NCO is the Cobblestones casting figure in the center there. This is a 10-man free unit. What? Yes. So not only do you get the free artillery guy, you get a free unit. It's called, the special rule is Indian Unsurpassed Bravery. Whenever a unit of infantry fails its morale check, or an artillery fails its morale check, that would have them wiped out, you get to re-roll it and take that result. So it's kind of like the Soviet not one step back rule. And as such, you get a 10-man free regular infantry section. So I didn't put any options on these guys. I left them as they were. And finally, we have a 9-man squad. 9-man section. It's 110 points. It has the NCO there, as you can see, the Bren carrier to your right, to the NCO's left, and next to the Bren you can see the loader there. So I'll take some pictures of these guys, and then we'll look at the vehicles. Here we have the armor and transports for the Army. First up, we have these 148th Tamiya Matildas. I've made them veteran. They're 186 points each. I believe they're the Mark II. Don't quote me on that. But they have light anti-tank guns, and they have a coaxial machine gun. The cool thing about them is that you can, for the exact same amount of points, you can change the light anti-tank gun into a light howitzer, which is kind of cool, because then, you know, if you're playing an opponent who has a mob army, you know, or there might be a lot of buildings, you can use that HE. They're slow, which means that they can only go 6 inches. That's kind of their max speed. For firing, if they're on a road, they can go 12. I guess that's the trade-off, but for 186 points, if you're playing a game, you can put one or both of them on outflank, and they'll come in, which is pretty cool. And then they're just a beast. They're armor 9, and if you're playing early war, there's not a lot of stuff that's going to go through that armor. Next to them, we have 3 Bren carriers. They are 70 points each. They're regular. They also have the pintle mount, so they've got the front LMG, and they also have a pintle mount LMG. For the more eagle-eyed observers, you'll notice that there are no LMGs, with the exception of this one here. I put the Tamiya gun in there, but it's pretty fragile. The barrel snapped off almost instantly. So I'm endeavoring to get 5 or 6, I should say, sort of more beefy 28mm Warlord Bren guns to put on there, the pintle mounts and the front guns there. And I've just put the 5-man squads in the back, because this is how I usually run these things. I'll put the 5 men in there, they'll zip up, fire off the 8 shots, jump out, and then hammer you again with another 7 shots. So put 2 pins. You know, and do some damage. So, and the final one here, I guess he's going to be sort of the transport for the free observer. So basically, he'll zip up, he can fire off a bunch of shots, pop out, call in his artillery strike, and then hop back in, and then, you know, just use him to sort of harass the enemy, maybe do a little bit of outflanking or something like that. So that's the armor, 70 points across. So these are 210 points, and these are 186 points each, which would make them what is that, 372 points. So not bad, 5 dice, pretty cool. I'm going to take some snaps of these guys as well, and then we'll wrap it all up. So here they are, finally done, 997 points, 12 dice, tournament legal. I'm going to go on a bit of a semi-related rant now, so if you're out now, that's cool. I'm going to probably drop some colorful language too, but just to let you know what's going on with me, sort of as a New Year video. Is this army cursed? I don't know. Now that you've seen the army, I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory on it. I found it really difficult to get through this army. I thought about abandoning this project more than once when I was doing it. So I started this army probably over a year ago. Actually, yeah, just over a year ago. I painted a couple of the infantry guys, and that was when the Mojo Vampire of 2022 sunk its fangs into me. I just got sick of painting the same guy over and over and over again. So also the availability of the Tamiya kits at first really put the brakes on this a few times. I got one of the Matildas pretty easily. I found it, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and then I bought the other one on Amazon later. I guess they reissued it. But the Bren carriers were basically disappeared from the material sphere of Japan last year, probably in 2021, and I just didn't notice. I've done like 10 of them, and they've always been around, and then suddenly you couldn't get them anywhere. So I had one. I found the last one in the wild in a hobby shop in Yokohama in the summer. And then I got the third one in December when I went on my business trip, and I had to have the guy send it to me. He knew a guy who had it or whatever. So that was okay. There were a couple on Amazon, but they were charging like, you know, they wanted like 400%, you know, on the actual price, and like, fuck that, you know, like that's not happening. I'll rework the list, you know. The construction of the Matilda was one of the biggest pains in the ass I've ever had from a Tamiya kit. I'm not going to point out any of the mistakes. I'll let you find them in a second viewing, but there are mistakes there, and if your eyes are, you know, eagle-eyed, you'll find. But holy shit, was it fiddly as hell. And I don't know if that was Tamiya or if it was the actual design of the tank, because there were just some pieces that were just, man, I just wanted to throw the damn thing out the effing window, dude. Anyways, once all the models were done, my airbrush compressor decided that I could go suck it, and it died. So I had to go get a whole new setup. The new airbrush is okay. I've only used it a couple of times, but it's made in China, so I'm not, like, who knows how long it'll be, you know, operational, you know, before it gets deep sixed onto a landfill someplace. I ended up airbrushing all the vehicles twice, actually, because I tried to do the camo scheme, and it was a total shit show. I mean, I fucked up everything. I mean, literally everything. The end result reminded me of when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. And you build a kit, and you look at the box art, you know, done by a pro. When you're done, you see how much you actually suck, and you'd be like, "This looks nothing like it should," you know. So I just did what I, you know, could. Basically, it was desert yellow. I did some that Earthshade, that Agrax, I don't know what it's called, the GW Earthshade stuff. It's basically deck stain. I watered that stuff down, gave it some Tamiya dry brushing powder, and then went over and did the details. But it got done. I dragged this project across the finish line. Will I ever play this army? I don't know. I honestly suspect, because of the trouble it's given me, that it'll just be awful, and it'll have some kind of negative juju voodoo connection, that'll either on my dice or on my opponents. Anyway, I'm glad it's done. I still have the Warlord DAC, which I bought at the same time, because the idea was I was going to do them in tandem, but ugh, F the desert, dude. But that project is still around, but it's way down the pipeline. What's coming up for me? Things that should be appearing on my channel sooner rather than later. I've got some commission work of War Games Foundry character models that were really fun to paint. They're all done. I just got to give them the coat, the gloss, not the gloss coat, the other coat, the one that protection coat. Duh. I've got some 30-year war Imperial cannons and crews. They're pretty much done. I got one more cannon I got to do, but they're pretty much done. I got to get them done by next Saturday. So, and of course I've got the big gun group build thing going on with the 88. So the 88's built and primed, and it should get some attention this weekend. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. I also have an early war German army that I built around the 88, so I just had to go whole hog into it. So I was like, oh, I'm painting Germans, this is great. And I've also used like 5 or 6 different manufacturers, so it's a real kind of Tower of Babel army of sorts. Now that the airbrush situation is all sorted out, the Warsaw Poles should be getting their vehicles done here pretty soon. So that's 2 more World War II armies that are almost complete. I've been working on some Ancients and Napoleonic stuff too when the mood hits, and slowly moving towards some completed units to add to my collection of those eras, so keep an eye out for that. I also have a Bulgarian World War II army in a box somewhere in my pile. I'm not expecting to buy much this year, if anything. I say that, but I've been looking at Spartans and Athenians and even Persians and stuff online. Ranger, he did his Persians. I was like, wow, they look cool. And then I'm like, oh, look at these, these Athenians, they look pretty cool. That'd be a painting show. Oh, the Spartans look cool. So I'm all over the place. Plus, Great Escape game, they got their World War II Norwegians funded. So, I don't know, dude. Who knows? But I also got to buy a new PC. As $20 laptops, 5 years of service is about to end, I reckon. So I also have to get a car insurance inspection, which is going to cost me a couple $1,000. Japan, being the Diet National Socialist country that it is, makes it mandatory, and you have to pay someone else to do it, or it nullifies all the warranties on parts and shit like that under the hood. So, you know, they got you by the short and curlies there. Good news, though, Japanese cars can last forever as long as you change the oil on time and don't take them over any sweet jumps. You'll be okay. Also fixing to go away in March for a couple of weeks. I'm going to go on a bit of a hiatus, I think, to points unknown and undetermined at this point. Looking forward to it. It's really helped me keep me motivated with diet, exercise, basically just getting my shit together since New Year. I'll be going alone too, so no special constable inspector of the Fun Police officer Wifetronic to be my real-time probation officer either. So should be fun. Good times ahoy. If you stuck around this long, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support of the channel, the views, the comments, and likes. That's it for me in this one, guys. Another World War II army in the books. I don't know, it's RB 30-something, 40, 37 maybe. I don't know. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Keep those brushes moving. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, bye.